The ancient council chambers of the Altarian Empire had witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, but today felt different. High Commander Varix studied the holographic display showing their vast territory spanning 847 star systems. For 2,000 years, peace had reigned across these worlds. Wars were stories told to children, relics of a barbaric past that advanced species had long abandoned. Dr. Riven entered the chamber carrying a datapad, his scaled features showing unusual concern. The xenobiologist had spent decades cataloging new species for peaceful integration into the Federation. Today's discovery, however, troubled him deeply. "Commander, we have detected an unusual system in the outer rim of the Orion Arm," Riven began, activating a stellar map. "Our survey vessel found a small world orbiting a yellow star. The inhabitants appear to be in early technological development." Varix nodded absently. New primitive species were discovered regularly. The Federation's standard protocol involved careful observation followed by peaceful first contact when the species achieved basic space travel. "What makes this discovery unusual, Doctor?" Riven hesitated before answering. "The electromagnetic signatures from their planet are unlike anything we have encountered. They possess advanced metallurgy and complex energy systems, yet they remain confined to their single world. More concerning are their radio transmissions." The hologram shifted to display wave patterns and decoded messages. Varix read the translations, with growing confusion. The transmissions spoke of concepts that had been extinct in civilized space for millennia: military strategy, weapons development, territorial conflicts, and something called warfare. "These terms are archaic," Varix said, frowning. "Surely this is some form of entertainment media or historical recreation." "That was my initial assumption," Riven replied grimly. "However, the frequency and technical detail of these transmissions suggest otherwise. This species appears to still engage in organized violence against their own kind." The revelation sent a chill through the chamber. Throughout Federation space, conflicts were resolved through mediation, diplomatic channels, and technological limitations that prevented destructive capabilities. The idea that an entire species might still practice warfare was both fascinating and terrifying. Captain Tellon of the survey vessel transmitted additional data from his position at the edge of the system. His ship, the Harmony's Edge, maintained a safe distance while conducting passive scans. The readings painted a picture of a world unlike any other in Federation records. "The planet shows signs of massive industrial capacity," Tellon reported. "However, much of this industry appears dedicated to producing items we cannot identify. The materials are too dense and complex for typical civilian applications." Varix studied the data streams flowing across his display. The world's inhabitants had achieved remarkable technological advancement in many areas. Their computational systems showed sophisticated design, their transportation networks demonstrated advanced engineering, and their communication satellites revealed global coordination capabilities. Yet something was fundamentally wrong with their development pattern. Most species progressed along predictable paths, developing peaceful applications for their technology as they matured. This species seemed to have developed their advanced capabilities while retaining primitive social structures. "What do we know about their political organization?" Varix asked. Dr. Riven consulted his notes. "They appear to be divided into multiple competing groups across their planet's surface. These groups, which they call nations, maintain separate technological development programs and engage in what they term strategic competition with each other. The concept was alien to Federation thinking. For millennia, species had unified their worlds before achieving space travel. The natural progression involved overcoming internal conflicts through cooperation and shared purpose. This species seemed to have achieved advanced technology while maintaining their divisions. "Commander," Tellen's voice crackled through the communication system. "I am detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet's surface. The patterns suggest they may have detected our presence." Varix felt a moment of concern. Federation survey protocols were designed to remain undetected until formal first contact became appropriate. If this primitive species had sensors capable of detecting Federation stealth technology, their capabilities were far more advanced than initial estimates suggested. "What evidence do you have of detection?" Varix asked. "Several of their artificial satellites have adjusted their orbits since our arrival. Additionally, I am picking up focused scanning beams directed toward our position. The scans are primitive but persistent." Dr. Riven paled as he processed this information. "Commander, if they can detect our ships, they may be analyzing our technology. Most primitive species lack the scientific foundation to understand Federation systems, but these readings suggest otherwise." The implications were troubling. Federation technology was designed with safeguards to prevent primitive species from reverse engineering advanced systems. However, these safeguards assumed that primitive species lacked the theoretical knowledge to understand what they were observing. "Doctor, based on your analysis, what do you recommend?" Varix asked. "Standard protocol suggests we classify them as a developing primitive world and maintain observation from a safe distance. However, their unusual technological patterns and apparent awareness of our presence suggests we may need to consider alternative approaches." Varix studied the data one more time. The species had achieved remarkable things while maintaining social structures that should have prevented such advancement. They had detected Federation ships that should have been invisible to their sensors. Most concerning, they possessed concepts and capabilities that civilized species had abandoned long ago. "Implement standard observation protocols," he decided, finally. "However, maintain maximum distance and prepare detailed reports for the Council. This species may require special consideration when we eventually make contact." As the meeting concluded, neither Varix nor Dr. Riven realized that their primitive subjects were already analyzing every detail of their ship's design. In hidden facilities across Earth's surface, human scientists worked around the clock to understand their visitors. Military leaders from various nations shared intelligence freely for the first time in decades, united by the common challenge of potential alien contact. The Federation had discovered humanity, but humanity had also discovered the Federation. While the aliens debated observation protocols and peaceful integration procedures, Earth's governments prepared for scenarios the Federation could not imagine. The shadow of humanity's true nature remained hidden, but not for long. The age of human isolation was ending, though neither species yet understood how dramatically their meeting would reshape the galaxy. 3 months of careful observation had produced more questions than answers. Ambassador Kiros reviewed the accumulated data as his diplomatic vessel approached the edge of Earth's solar system. His extensive experience with first contact protocols had prepared him for many scenarios, but this species defied every precedent in Federation records. The briefing materials painted a picture of a world caught between primitive social structures and advanced technological capabilities. Their radio transmissions continued to reference concepts that should have been extinct in any spacefaring civilization, yet their technology showed sophistication that rivaled some Federation member worlds. "Ambassador," his aide Nilak called, from the communication station. "We are receiving priority transmissions from Federation Command. High Commander Varix wishes to speak with you directly." The holographic image of Varix materialized in the center of the diplomatic chamber. His expression showed the strain of the past months of debate and analysis. "Kairos, the Council has reached a decision regarding the Earth species. We will proceed with standard first contact protocols but with additional caution. Your mission is to offer Federation membership while carefully assessing their true capabilities and intentions. Kairos nodded respectfully. Commander, the preliminary report suggests this species may not respond to our usual approaches. Their social structures and technological focus appear fundamentally different from typical developing worlds. That is precisely why we selected you for this mission, Varix replied. Your experience with unusual species makes you our best choice for this contact. However, I must stress the importance of maintaining Federation security protocols. Do not share advanced technology or detailed information about our capabilities until we understand their true nature. As the transmission ended, Kairos felt a familiar mixture of excitement and responsibility that came with first contact missions. He had successfully welcomed 47 species into the Federation, each contact opening new possibilities for peace and cooperation. This mission, however, felt different. His small fleet of 3 vessels approached Earth openly, broadcasting mathematical sequences and universal peace symbols on multiple frequencies. The Federation had perfected this approach over centuries of successful contacts. The combination of obvious technological superiority and clear, peaceful intentions typically resulted in wonder, gratitude, and eager cooperation from primitive species. Earth's response shattered every expectation. Within hours of the Federation fleet's arrival in Earth's outer atmosphere, the planet's surface erupted in coordinated activity. Kairos watched in amazement as radar installations across multiple continents simultaneously focused on his ships. Hidden defensive platforms revealed themselves, emerging from concealment with precision that suggested long-term preparation. Ambassador, his pilot reported with concern, the planet's defense systems are far more extensive than our initial surveys indicated. I am detecting weapon signatures that should not exist on a pre-FTL world. The humans made no immediate response to the Federation's peace broadcasts. Instead, they simply observed and analyzed. Their scanning beams probed the alien ships with intensity that made Kairos uncomfortable. These were not the crude attempts of a primitive species trying to understand superior technology. These were focused, methodical examinations conducted by beings who understood exactly what they were looking for. Dr. Angela Morse worked without sleep in her laboratory beneath the Colorado mountains. Earth's finest xenotechnology specialist had been analyzing Federation ship designs since their first appearance months ago. Now, with the aliens positioned directly overhead, she could gather detailed information about their construction and capabilities. Admiral Ross, she reported to Earth's Defense Command, these ships are remarkably advanced, but they show critical vulnerabilities. Their defensive systems appear designed to deflect natural hazards and cosmic radiation, not directed attacks. Their hulls are optimized for peaceful exploration, not combat scenarios. Admiral Ross studied the tactical displays showing Federation ship positions. Doctor, in your professional opinion, are these vessels equipped for offensive operations? Negative. Admiral, these ships lack any obvious weapon systems. More importantly, their entire design philosophy suggests a species that has never considered the possibility of hostile contact. They are approaching us completely exposed, broadcasting their position and making no effort to maintain tactical advantage. The revelation troubled Ross deeply. Either the Federation was so technologically superior that they considered Earth no threat, or they were genuinely peaceful to the point of military naivety. Given the technical analysis of their ships, the latter seemed more likely. When Earth finally responded to the Federation's broadcasts, the message was simple and direct. State your intentions. You have entered our territorial space. The response confused Ambassador Kairos. In his experience, primitive species typically reacted to first contact with either worship, fear, or excited curiosity. This cold, professional challenge suggested a species that had prepared for exactly this scenario. "Greetings," Kairos broadcast in return. "I am Ambassador Kairos of the Galactic Federation. We come in peace, seeking friendship and cooperation with your species. We offer membership in our interstellar community and the benefits of advanced technology and knowledge." Earth's response came 12 hours later, during which Federation sensors detected massive amounts of encrypted communication traffic across the planet's surface. "Ambassador Kairos, we appreciate your peaceful intentions. However, formal contact must be conducted through proper diplomatic channels. We request a face-to-face meeting with Federation representatives on our planet's surface, under appropriate security arrangements. The request violated every Federation First Contact protocol. Diplomatic missions were conducted in space, on neutral space stations, or aboard Federation vessels where the aliens' technological superiority ensured their safety. Landing on primitive worlds exposed Federation personnel to unknown dangers and potential hostage situations. Yet, something in the human's tone suggested that refusal would end all possibility of peaceful contact. Against his better judgment and Federation protocols, Kairos agreed to the meeting. He would land a small diplomatic shuttle on Earth with minimal security, trusting in the species' stated peaceful intentions. As his shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, Kairos realized that the humans had prepared an elaborate reception. Military aircraft escorted his shuttle with precision formations that demonstrated advanced flight capabilities. Ground installations tracked his approach with weapon systems that should not have existed on their world. The landing site was a neutral facility surrounded by representatives from multiple Earth nations. As Kairos emerged from his shuttle, he noticed that every human present carried communication devices, wore protective equipment, and maintained tactical positions around the landing area. These were not the odd, curious primitives he had expected to meet. These were professional military and diplomatic personnel who had clearly prepared for this moment for months. The realization sent a chill through Kairos as he understood that humanity had been studying the Federation just as intensively as the Federation had been studying them. The first formal contact between the Federation and humanity was about to begin, but neither side truly understood what they were facing. The Federation expected grateful primitives eager for guidance. Humanity expected potential enemies who required careful evaluation and strategic response. The stage was set for a confrontation that would challenge everything both civilizations believed about first contact, peaceful coexistence, and the nature of advanced species in the galaxy. The neutral facility in Geneva had been hastily converted for the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. Ambassador Kairos entered the conference room accompanied by 2 Federation representatives from peaceful species that had joined the galactic community centuries ago. Across the polished table sat Earth's most senior military and political leaders, their expressions professional but unreadable. General Patricia Hayes, recently appointed to lead Earth's newly formed United Defense Command, studied the alien. Visitors with tactical awareness that made Kairos uncomfortable. Every question she asked served multiple purposes, extracting information while revealing nothing about human capabilities or intentions. "Ambassador Kairos," Hayes began, "please explain the Federation's structure and membership requirements." Kairos launched into his standard presentation, describing the benefits of galactic citizenship. He spoke of shared technology, peaceful trade, scientific cooperation, and the elimination of warfare through diplomatic mediation. The Federation's advanced AI systems resolved conflicts before they could escalate, while technological limitations prevented member species from developing destructive capabilities. Dr. Angela Morse took detailed notes throughout the presentation, occasionally exchanging glances with her colleagues. When Kairos finished, she leaned forward with questions that revealed disturbing depth of understanding. "Ambassador, Your ships use crystalline matrix shields for defense. The energy requirements for maintaining those fields must be enormous. How do you prevent overload cascades when multiple emitters operate in proximity? The question stunned Kairos. Dr. Morse had described a technical problem that only Federation engineers fully understood. No primitive species should have possessed the theoretical knowledge to identify such issues, much less articulate them so precisely. Doctor, how do you know about shield matrix interactions? Kairos asked carefully. We have been studying your ships since they first appeared in our system, Morse replied matter-of-factly. Your technology is impressive, but it shows design assumptions that concern us. She activated a holographic display showing detailed schematics of Federation vessels. Kairos recognized his own ship's design with accuracy that should have been impossible for human sensors to achieve. Your defensive systems are optimized for natural hazards, Morse continued. Cosmic radiation, micrometeorites, energy fluctuations from stellar phenomena. However, they show critical vulnerabilities to focused, directed attacks. Your shield, harmonics could be disrupted by properly tuned energy weapons. Your hull plating lacks the redundancy necessary for combat scenarios. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. These humans had not only detected Federation ships, but had analyzed them with the specific goal of identifying weaknesses. More troubling, they understood the concept of directed attacks against starships, something no Federation species had considered in millennia. General Hayes continued the uncomfortable line of inquiry. Ambassador, you mentioned that Federation technology includes limitations to prevent warfare. What happens to species that refuse these limitations? The question is theoretical, Kairos replied nervously. All advanced species naturally abandon warfare as they mature. The limitations simply formalize what evolution naturally accomplishes. But hypothetically, Hayes pressed, what would the Federation do if faced with a species that maintained military capabilities while achieving space travel? Kairos struggled to answer because the scenario had never been considered. Federation philosophy assumed that technological advancement and social maturity naturally eliminated violent tendencies. The possibility of spacefaring warriors was beyond their conceptual framework. General, such a species could not exist, he said finally. Warfare prevents the cooperation necessary for space travel. Military thinking is incompatible with the scientific advancement required for interstellar civilizations. The human delegation exchanged meaningful looks. Dr. Morse pulled up another display showing Earth's technological development timeline. Unlike the Federation's assumption of linear progression from primitive to peaceful, humanity's advancement showed a different pattern entirely. Ambassador, our space program was developed by military organizations, Morse explained. Our satellite networks serve dual civilian and military purposes. Our computational systems were created to solve strategic problems. Our manufacturing capabilities can shift from civilian to military production within weeks. She paused to let this information sink in before continuing. We have not abandoned warfare, Ambassador. We have perfected it. The second day of meetings began with what the humans called a routine military exercise. General Hayes invited the Federation representatives to observe from a secure location overlooking a vast training complex. What Kairos witnessed challenged every assumption about primitive species and technological development. Human forces demonstrated coordination that surpassed anything in Federation records. Multiple branches of their military operated in perfect synchronization, sharing information instantaneously across vast distances. Their equipment showed innovation that the Federation had never considered because they had never needed it. Fighter aircraft performed maneuvers that would have been impossible without understanding advanced physics. Ground forces utilized tactics that demonstrated centuries of refined strategic thinking. Naval vessels coordinated attacks with precision that required sophisticated computer systems and communication networks. Most disturbing were the weapons themselves. Humanity had developed destructive capabilities that the Federation had abandoned, so long ago that their current technology could not replicate them. Energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, and area effect devices showed engineering focused solely on defeating other technological systems. This exercise simulates planetary defense against hostile space-based forces, General Hayes explained casually. We assume that any species capable of interstellar travel might also possess aggressive intentions. Kiros watched in horror as human forces practiced destroying targets that matched Federation ship specifications. Their weapons had been designed specifically to counter the type of technology his people used. The demonstration was not just a display of capability, but a clear message about human intentions. Admiral Ross joined the observation group as the exercise reached its climax. Human orbital platforms revealed themselves, having remained hidden throughout the Federation's months of observation. These weapons were clearly designed to engage spacecraft, not terrestrial targets. Admiral, Kairos asked shakily, how long have you been preparing for contact with spacefaring species? Officially, since your first ships appeared in our system, Ross replied. Unofficially, we have been preparing for this possibility since we first looked at the stars and wondered who else might be out there. The demonstration concluded with a coordinated simulation that showed humanity's response to orbital bombardment. Federation observers watched as Earth's defense systems engaged simulated alien attackers with efficiency that suggested extensive preparation and training. As the alien representatives returned to their shuttle, Dr. Morse provided them with a final gift, a detailed technical analysis of Federation ship vulnerabilities, presented as a gesture of scientific cooperation. The message was unmistakable but diplomatically phrased. Ambassador, General Hayes said as they prepared to depart, we appreciate your offer of Federation membership. However, Earth must respectfully decline. We are interested in establishing diplomatic relations and limited trade agreements, but we prefer to maintain our independence. The underlying message was clear to everyone present. Humanity considered itself an equal power, not a primitive species seeking guidance. They had the capability to defend that independence and the strategic thinking to use that capability effectively. As the Federation shuttle lifted off from Earth's surface, Kiros realized that first contact had not gone according to any protocol in Federation history. Instead of welcoming grateful primitives into galactic civilization, they had encountered a species that viewed them as potential threats to be analyzed, understood, and, if necessary, defeated. The galaxy was about to discover that not all advanced species had abandoned the art of war. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called within hours of Ambassador Kiros's return from Earth. Representatives from across Federation space gathered in the ancient chambers where peace had been maintained for 2 millennia. Today, that peace faced its first real challenge in living memory. High Commander Varric stood before the assembled delegates, his expression grave as he prepared to share intelligence that would shake the foundation of their civilization. The holographic displays around the chamber showed Earth's location, human technology assessments, and most disturbing of all, recordings from the military demonstration. Fellow council members, Varric began, we face an unprecedented situation. The species we discovered in the Orion Arm has declined Federation membership. However, their refusal is not based on ignorance or fear, but on military strength and strategic calculation. Dr. Riven stepped forward to present his expanded analysis of human civilization. The months of study had revealed patterns that challenged every assumption about technological and social development. Charts and graphs filled the chamber's displays, showing data that contradicted fundamental Federation beliefs. This species has achieved advanced technology while maintaining what they call military capability, Riven explained. Unlike our member civilizations, they have never abandoned warfare. Instead, they have refined it into a science that drives their technological advancement. The revelation sent murmurs of disbelief through the assembled delegates. Representative Thale of the peaceful Centauri worlds raised his hand to speak. Doctor, surely you exaggerate. No species can achieve space travel while maintaining destructive capabilities. The resources required for warfare prevent the cooperation necessary for scientific advancement. Riven activated a display showing human military-industrial complexes. Representative Thale, that assumption appears to be incorrect. Humanity has achieved space travel precisely because of their military development. Their space program originated from weapons research. Their computer systems were developed for strategic analysis. Their manufacturing capabilities serve both civilian and military purposes simultaneously. Commander Valak of the Federation's Enforcement Division studied the tactical data with growing alarm. The enforcement fleet existed primarily for rescue operations and dealing with natural disasters. They had never faced an actual military threat because such threats had not existed in Federation space. Council members, Valak reported, our analysis of human military capabilities reveals serious implications for Federation security. Their weapons technology exceeds our defensive capabilities in several key areas. More concerning, their strategic thinking demonstrates understanding of space-based warfare that we have not considered in over 1,000 years. The chamber erupted in concerned discussions as delegates struggled to process this information. The Federation's entire structure assumed that advanced species naturally evolved beyond violence. The discovery of humanity challenged not just their policies, but their fundamental understanding of civilization itself. Ambassador Kiros provided additional details from his direct contact with human leaders. Council members, these beings think strategically about every interaction. When I offered them Federation membership, they evaluated the offer not as primitive species seeking guidance, but as potential enemies assessing a threat. He activated recordings from his meetings with Earth's representatives. The human questions, their tactical evaluations, and their obvious preparation for the encounter painted a picture of a species that approached diplomacy as an extension of warfare. They have been studying our ships since first contact, Kiros continued. Their scientists identified vulnerabilities in our technology that our own engineers have never considered. They view our peaceful intentions not as friendship, but as evidence of military weakness. High Commander Varix faced an impossible decision. 3 options lay before the Federation, each carrying enormous risks that their peaceful civilization was unprepared to handle. We can attempt diplomatic containment, he explained to the Council. Maintain surveillance of human space and prevent their expansion through economic and diplomatic pressure. However, our intelligence suggests they are developing faster than light, technology independently. Containment may not be possible. The second option involved technological interference. Federation ships could disable human industry or transportation systems, preventing their advancement to true spacefaring status. However, such actions would constitute acts of war against a species specifically prepared for warfare. The third option, Varric said reluctantly, involves direct intervention to neutralize the human threat before they develop interstellar capabilities. This would require military action that the Federation has not undertaken in living memory. The debate that followed revealed the full extent of the Federation's dilemma. Their civilization had achieved peace by abandoning the tools and thinking necessary to maintain that peace against external threats. They possessed advanced technology, but lacked the strategic mindset to use it effectively against an opponent who specialized in exactly that type of thinking. Meanwhile, Earth's intelligence agencies had successfully penetrated Federation communication networks. Human cryptographers, trained in military secrecy and electronic warfare, found the alien security systems laughably inadequate. The Federation had never needed to protect their communications from hostile analysis, leaving their networks completely vulnerable to determined intrusion. General Hayes reviewed intercepted Federation transmissions in her secure command center. The aliens' discussions about containing or neutralizing the human threat had triggered Earth's most ambitious military project since the development of nuclear weapons. Dr. Morse, Hayes addressed her chief scientist, "What is the status of Operation Prometheus?" "General, we have successfully reverse-engineered key components of Federation technology," Morse reported. Their faster-than-light communication systems use quantum entanglement principles that we can replicate. More importantly, their FTL travel systems operate on space-folding mechanics that are within our engineering capabilities. The implications were staggering. Humanity would soon possess the ability to travel between star systems, carrying their military capabilities beyond Earth for the first time. The Federation's window for containing human expansion was rapidly closing. Admiral Ross coordinated with military leaders from every Earth nation as they prepared for what appeared to be an inevitable conflict. "Ladies and gentlemen, our intelligence indicates that the Federation views us as a threat that must be eliminated or contained. We cannot allow alien powers to dictate Earth's future." The operation that followed demonstrated humanity's strategic advantage over their peaceful enemies. While the Federation debated philosophical approaches to the human problem, Earth's governments had already moved to practical solutions. Human deep space monitoring stations, disguised as civilian research facilities, established observation posts throughout the solar system. Manufacturing centers shifted production priorities to military applications. Scientific research focused on adapting alien technology for human strategic needs. Most importantly, Earth's first faster-than-light-capable vessels entered final construction phases. Unlike Federation ships designed for exploration and peaceful contact, these craft were optimized for reconnaissance, communication, and, if necessary, combat operations. The awakening occurred simultaneously on both sides of the growing divide. The Federation realized they faced an opponent they could not defeat through conventional diplomatic means. Earth understood that their independence would require strength that could deter galactic powers from interfering with human development. Dr. Morse achieved the breakthrough that would change galactic history when her team successfully tested their first FTL drive system. The technology combined Federation principles with human engineering, creating propulsion capabilities that exceeded alien performance in several key areas. "Admiral Ross," she reported excitedly, "we have successfully replicated and improved upon Federation faster-than-light technology. Our ships will be able to travel between star systems within weeks." The age of human isolation was ending, but not in the way the Federation had intended. Instead of welcoming primitive humans into their peaceful civilization, they had awakened a species that would challenge every assumption about galactic society. The Federation had sought to expand their empire of peace. Instead, they had encountered the one force they were unprepared to face, an advanced species that had never forgotten how to fight. The first human vessel to achieve faster-than-light travel broke through the boundaries of Earth's solar system on a Tuesday morning that would be remembered as the beginning of a new galactic age. Unlike the peaceful exploration ships that other species had used for their first interstellar journeys, the USS Defiance was a heavily armed reconnaissance vessel designed to establish humanity's presence among the stars through strength rather than diplomacy. Admiral Ross monitored the historic mission from Earth's Deep Space Command Center, watching as humanity took its first steps into a galaxy that had forgotten the meaning of military power. The Defiance carried more than just human ambitions beyond the solar system. It carried weapons, defensive systems, and most importantly, a crew trained to think strategically about every encounter. "Admiral," reported the ship's captain via quantum communication, "we have successfully established orbit around the fourth planet in the Wolf 359 system. The world shows signs of valuable mineral resources and no intelligent life. We are beginning establishment of a forward operating base." The implications of that simple message rippled through both human and Federation space. Humanity had achieved interstellar travel and immediately begun territorial expansion. Their first priority was not scientific exploration or peaceful contact, but the establishment of strategic positions and resource extraction capabilities. High Commander Varix received the intelligence about human expansion with growing despair. Federation sensors tracked additional human vessels launching from Earth's orbital shipyards. Each ship followed the same pattern, heavily defended, strategically positioned, focused on military objectives rather than scientific exploration. "Commander," Dr. Riven reported grimly, "our analysis indicates that humans are establishing a defensive perimeter around 12 star systems in the Orion Arm. Their expansion follows military doctrine rather than exploration protocols. They are claiming territory, not discovering worlds." The Federation faced a reality they had never encountered. Throughout their 2,000-year history, new species had joined their peaceful community seeking knowledge, cooperation, and shared advancement. Humanity had rejected their offer and was now carving out their own territory through unilateral action. The crisis deepened when human representatives made formal contact with the Federation Council. Ambassador Patricia Williams, Earth's first Galactic diplomatic officer, delivered a message that challenged every assumption about interstellar relations. "High Commander Varix," Williams addressed the Federation leader via long-range transmission, "humanity hereby claims sovereignty over star systems within a 50 light-year radius of Earth. We are prepared to defend these claims against any interference from Federation forces or member species." The ultimatum was delivered with professional courtesy but unmistakable resolve. Earth was not asking for permission to expand. They were informing the Federation of decisions already made and implemented. Commander Valak attempted to respond with traditional Federation diplomatic pressure. "Ambassador Williams, the Federation cannot recognize unilateral territorial claims. The systems you mention fall within established Federation space and are subject to our governing authority." Williams's response revealed the fundamental flaw in Federation thinking. "Commander, your authority extends only as far as your ability to enforce it. We have evaluated Federation military capabilities and found them inadequate for the task of preventing human expansion." The statement sent shockwaves through Federation leadership. No species had ever challenged Federation authority because the concept was inconceivable to civilizations that had abandoned warfare. Humanity had not only conceived of such a challenge, but had prepared for it systematically. The emergence of humanity as a galactic power created unexpected ripple effects. Throughout Federation space, species that had lived under Federation pacifist doctrine for centuries began questioning restrictions that had seemed natural and beneficial. The Draconian Assembly, a proud warrior culture that had been civilized by Federation integration, 3 centuries earlier secretly contacted human representatives. Their leader, War Chief Drex, had never forgotten his people's military heritage despite Federation attempts to eliminate such thinking. "Ambassador Williams," Drex transmitted on an encrypted channel, "my people remember what yours have never forgotten. We seek to understand how you maintained your strength while achieving the stars." Similar contacts came from other Federation member species. The Rigelian Confederacy inquired about human military organization. The vegan trade republics asked about defensive technologies. Even some core Federation worlds began questioning whether their peaceful philosophy left them vulnerable to external threats. The Federation's philosophical foundation cracked under pressure it had never been designed to withstand. High Commander Varix convened emergency sessions with his senior staff, searching for solutions to a problem their civilization was intellectually unprepared to solve. "We could attempt economic sanctions," suggested Dr. Riven, "though humans seem largely self-sufficient and have established their own resource extraction capabilities." "Military intervention remains an option," Commander Valak added reluctantly, "though our forces lack training and equipment for actual combat operations." The absurdity of their situation became clear as they debated tactics that had been extinct in Federation space for millennia. They possessed advanced technology, but had forgotten how to use it strategically. They commanded vast resources, but lacked the military thinking necessary to project power effectively. The emergence reached its dramatic climax when 3 Federation member species formally requested human military protection. Pirates from the Galactic Rim had been raiding Federation trade routes for months, taking advantage of the Federation's inability to respond effectively to organized violence. The request came from the Altair Mining Consortium, whose industrial worlds produced critical materials for Federation infrastructure. "Admiral Ross," their representative pleaded, "our security forces cannot defend against these raiders. The Federation's enforcement fleet lacks the capability to protect our shipping lanes. We require the services of a military power that understands warfare." Admiral Ross accepted the contract with terms that fundamentally altered galactic politics. Human warships would patrol Altair space in exchange for resource access and recognition of human territorial claims. More importantly, the agreement established humanity as a legitimate military power capable of providing services the Federation could not offer. The success of human military operations against the Galactic Rim pirates demonstrated the effectiveness of maintained military capabilities. Human vessels designed for combat operations eliminated the raider threat within months. Their success attracted additional contracts from Federation species seeking real security rather than philosophical peace. The establishment of the Human Defense Consortium marked humanity's full emergence from the shadows of galactic civilization. Earth's military alliance offered protection services to any species willing to recognize human sovereignty and pay for effective defense. Federation member worlds faced a choice between continued loyalty to a peaceful organization that could not protect them, or alliance with a military power that specialized in exactly the capabilities they needed. The decision was not difficult. For species that had been victimized by threats the Federation could not address, High Commander Varix watched helplessly as his 2,000-year-old empire began fragmenting. Species that had been loyal Federation members for centuries chose human protection over Federation idealism. The philosophical foundation of galactic peace was crumbling under the reality of human strategic thinking. "Doctor," he asked Dr. Riven during one of their final conferences, "how did we fail to anticipate this outcome?" "Commander," Riven replied sadly, "we assumed that all advanced species would follow our path. We believed that technological advancement naturally eliminated military thinking. We were wrong." The final scene of humanity's emergence played out in the orbital space above Earth, where Admiral Ross stood on the bridge of humanity's first Dreadnought-class starship. The massive vessel represented everything the Federation had abandoned: strategic thinking, military engineering, and the willingness to use force in defense of principles. Federation vessels maintained respectful distances as human colonies expanded across the stars. The aliens who had once viewed Earth as a primitive world now watched nervously as humanity established military bases, trade networks, and defensive alliances throughout the galaxy. The transformation was complete. Earth had emerged from the shadows not as a grateful member of galactic civilization, but as its newest and most formidable power. The Federation's age of enforced peace was ending, replaced by a new era where military strength and strategic thinking once again determined the balance of power among the stars. Ambassador Williams transmitted humanity's final message to the Federation Council from her office aboard the orbital command station. Hi. Commander Varix, Earth extends an offer of mutual non-aggression and limited cooperation to the Federation. We have no desire for conquest of your core worlds, but we will not tolerate interference with human expansion or the protection of our allies. The message was diplomatic in tone, but carried the unmistakable weight of military backing. Humanity had achieved what the Federation considered impossible. They had become a spacefaring civilization while retaining the strategic thinking and military capabilities that made them truly dangerous. The galaxy would never again underestimate the small blue world that had chosen strength over submission. Federation philosophers would spend decades trying to understand how their fundamental assumptions about advanced civilization had proven so catastrophically wrong. Military academies that had been closed for centuries would reopen as species remembered the importance of being able to defend what they valued. Admiral Ross smiled as he watched human transport ships carrying colonists to new worlds under the protection of military escorts. The Federation had sought to bring humanity into their peaceful empire. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant that would reshape galactic civilization according to human principles of strength, independence, and strategic thinking. The age of human dominance in space was beginning. Earth had proven that not all advanced species abandoned the art of war, and the galaxy was discovering that sometimes the most important lesson civilizations could learn was that peace was only possible when backed by the strength to enforce it. The shadows that had hidden humanity's true nature were gone forever. In their place stood a species that would ensure the galaxy never forgot that advancement and military capability were not mutually exclusive, and that the stars belonged to those with the courage and strength to claim them.